What was the highest waste of money that you don't regret? A quick 7-day trip to Maui in February a couple years ago with one of my teenage daughters, who happened to be free the same week I had off. Work was grinding me down and I needed a break. My wife and the rest of the family couldn't go. They were working or in school. The tickets were expensive, $850 each for bare bones economy narrow rack hard seats. It was a 12-hour flight that was packed to the brim. I was getting bed sores by the time we arrived. We rented snorkeling gear and a car, and spent every day from dawn to dusk snorkeling, sitting on the beaches and hiking in the mountains. We did the Hana Road, the 7 sacred pools and the Halikala Volcano National Park at sunset, and took tons of photos. We ate spam musubi for breakfast, poke and somen noodles for lunch and loco moco for supper. Slept like babies with the windows open wide in the cool nighttime breezes. The best way to blow $5,000 ever. So much what I needed at that point in my life. And a trip your daughter will always cherish. Sounds amazing. OP. My litter robot. Yes, I spent $600 on a cat shitter, but my house never smells. I don't have to scoop litter, and I only have to empty the drawer once a week. Definitely worth it to me. We just got one this year. I have 4 cats, 1 leg and a bad back, so bending over to scoop is not comfortable. I love that litter box. I spend too much money on a big treadmill for a very small apartment, but I've ran 15-25 kilometers on it every week for the past several years and it's been incredibly helpful both physically and mentally. Your downstairs neighbor's mental health is swiftly deteriorating. Artwork. Can I always afford it? No, but my walls are full of original, 90% local art. They make me happy to look at. I'm sure I made the artist happy too. My husband and I just bought our first piece of art from a local exhibition this weekend. It was completely spur of the moment, and very expensive. Also, since we can't travel for our anniversary next month, we are considering it an anniversary gift to ourselves. Can't wait to pick it up at the end of the month. Just shy of $20,000 to go to Antarctica traveling solo, small cruise ship. More than I've spent on every other vacation I've taken combined. Was one of the best trips of my life. It also gave me enough space and clarity to realize how toxic my ex was to me so that I could find the strength to leave not long after I got back. I'll always want to go back to Antarctica. The inner peace I found there changed my life. GE Opal Nugget Ice Maker. Dang thing cost more than my car payment but, man oh man, I love nugget ice and I use it the heck out of it every day. Spending hundreds of euros on broken musical instruments because they were pretty. I have since bought spare parts and started repairing them. I found my destiny. My couch. I moved out of my mom's house last year, 2019, so no COVID, and I always wanted a good couch. I tested so much. I went to so many furniture stores, looked at so many different models, and then choose mine. It's actually from IKEA. 3 seats and long enough to let someone sleep on it. In a grey, but I saw they were also having a black cover, so I am thinking about getting that one. Extremely comfortable. I wanted a couch where you could chill out and love how fluffy it is without losing the ability to sit on it. In some couches you are not able to lean on the back and still have a straight back. You can sit on the backboard in the armrests. They are flat so you can also put a cup of tea on them. It's also not too low so you don't feel like sitting on the ground, which I do strangely often compared to my love for this couch, but you can let yourself fall onto that dang thing. It also looks easy and simple, so I don't want the suggestion of someone who tried a lot of couches and happens to be me then buy the Vimmel couch from IKEA. I've been a fat guy all my life. Like, really fat. Dressing comfortably was always my preference because being stylish just isn't an option at my size. This was always a source of anxiety at any social event that required dressing up. When I realized I had 4 weddings of close friends all coming up within the year, I decided to bite the bullet and get some decent formal clothes. I spent $800 on a suit jacket, $250 on 2 pairs of dress pants, a little over $300 for 3 shirts and 3 silk ties that were between $70 and $100 each. I stood for all my measurements and had everything tailored to my exact specifications. Did a fitting and had a second round of alterations on the pants so they actually looked decent, even though I wore them under my gut. People were floored when I showed up to the first wedding. I received so many compliments and actual double takes. Being introduced to new people felt completely different. I felt impressive. Some of those weddings were the best times of my life, and it was due, in no small part, to how those clothes looked and made me feel. Some of those friends have big pictures from their weddings hanging on their walls, and I don't cringe in embarrassment when I see myself in them. Those clothes cost more than I have ever spent on clothing in any 10-year period, and they were worth every penny. Being a big guy myself, I've thought about doing this, but I've always been too cheap. Now I want to do it. Thank you for sharing. I spent $3,000 for my wife to meet the Backstreet Boys and get front row seats. It is the best thing that has ever happened to her, and the smile on her face after the show and look of pure bliss in someone who suffers often from anxiety was worth every cent. I didn't spend quite that much, but I gave my wife a similar experience with 98 last year. Front row seats, meet and greet backstage, full VIP access at a club post-show. The look on her face is still really vivid in my mind. Due to poor insulation and distance from the water heater, my shower is never properly warm in winter. I just bought a single endpoint tankless water heater for just my shower. Best $150 I ever spent. Could I really afford it? Number. Did I need it? Number. Do I love it? You bet your sweet bippy I do. Didn't know this was a thing. I hate that my shower gets cold after like 5 minutes. Looked a few up and this seems a bit more complicated, and would probably need a pro to install. I want this. Just bought a treadmill. There is a perfectly good street outside I could run on, or I could pay for a gym membership for years and years. But now I can get a run in during my daughter's nap time, or when it's cold, or when I only have 30 minutes free and driving to and from the gym would eat up half of my time. I certainly could have made it work without this expense, but I really love it. 600 euros for an hour of laps, 3 of 20 minutes each, around the Nürburgring in Germany. It was open in the off season and there wasn't a single other car near me the whole time. 10/10, one of the most thrilling experiences of my life. I'm buying this for my so for our honeymoon when we get married, and I'm so excited to see his reaction. Back in 2017 my family went on a road trip to Minnesota to visit my nana shortly before she passed. During our stay me and my little sister went to the Mall of America and bought whatever the frick we wanted. Big ice cream cones, Lego store souvenirs, tickets to the aquarium, fare for every indoor amusement park ride, a doll from the American Girl store, and eating an expensive lunch in the store with your new doll sitting at the table with us. Freak yeah little sis, it's all yours. I dropped over $300 in that one mall trip, but dang was it was one of our best shopping days ever. We still talk about it to this day. You're lucky you got away so cheaply. You can spend $300 at the Lego store with your eyes closed and one hand tied behind your back. I got into a stupid fight with my brother, so I found a game he had pledged on Kickstarter, Space Haven, and saw that for $360 I could write a pre-made character bio that would randomly show up. So I pledged it and wrote a character bio with his name and made him a flaming butthole. I have never played this game and don't want to. When I was younger I came into a sum of about $15k. I wasn't very careful with the money, and other than putting $5k down on car, I blew the money here and there. But what I put the largest amounts toward were friends in need. I paid one friend's power bill just before it got shut off. I helped another friend keep her water on. I never could keep my hands on money for long, but I don't regret having wasted it helping friends. And the friends remember it forever too. I got $27k and spent it on a solo cross-country road trip that led to me moving on the complete opposite side of the country from everyone I've ever known. I was in a dark place in my head. The original plan was to find a nice place to end my story, but the trip itself helped me reconsider, so absolutely no regrets to speak of. The summer after graduating high school, I won a decent amount of money playing online poker. Since I wasn't going off to college and all of my friends were, I decided to buy them all ridiculous going away gifts. A carpet, mailbox, toilet seat, etc. were among the gifts. The most expensive and ridiculous gift I bought on a whim was a massive wheel of cheese, somewhere between $200-300. Little did I know at the time that cheese wheel would set off a yearly event called Cheese Driving, where our entire, much larger now with spouses and kids, friend group gets together to celebrate and partake in cheesy goodness. This year was our 17th. Unfortunately all virtual due to COVID, and I genuinely hope it never ends. This is great. Travel. I've never regretted spending money on travel. Those are some of my favorite memories. I can't wait to be able to travel again. Back in high school I was about to go on my first ever date and I made extra money to make sure I had enough, around $600 I had. The day before our date she gave me a letter and she basically broke up with me. Being a teenager I had no control over my emotions, as being brought up in my family would say guys shouldn't cry over anything, but I had no way to process it. So after school I went to 7-Eleven, bought 2 large Slurpees, 6 hot dogs and got a prepaid card and bought a bunch of Nico action figures. I actually had a good weekend because I honestly splurged on that money and got into action figure collecting as well. Practiced stop motion, which ended up helping me to pursue an animation career, and I'm about to finish and ready to apply to stop motion studios. The reason $600 was the date money is because my brother and best friend recommended me to take extra date cash in case she wanted to do extra stuff or to cover stuff instead of having to wash dishes or say no. I was able to get the cash because I do small jobs or help people out with heavy lifting. Me and the ex were doing stuff together, like I would walk her home from school, get her coffee before school began, and hang out on campus, and she did hide her relationships from her parents, but yeah, after the breakup I did see who she was as a person, and very toxic. I am in my last classes before I graduate and I decided my senior film will be stop motion, which is a daunting task, but I have prepared myself and got everything ready. As living in LA I have lots of studios to intern apply, and I am working on a portfolio of sorts to show off my skills in stop motion and special effects on Adobe After Effects. To finish it off, I was going to courses for 3D animation and 2D as well, but kinda sucked on them until I took a course in experimental, and one of the assignments was to do a special animation called replacement animation, and I decided to use some action figures, and in it I did some stop motion which my professor picked up and praised for the poses frame by frame, saying it's impressive that I got the movement down. The only draw right now is that intern positions are halted because of COVID, and my fellow classmates are also disappointed that the internship spots at some studios they want to work for are halting or limiting internships, so it's hard right now, but for me it's giving me time to do more stop motion work, trying to perfect it and trying out new methods or techniques. As well practiced stop motion, which ended up helping me to pursue an animation career, and I'm about to finish and ready to apply to stop motion studios. Congratulations. Dyson blow dryer. It's worth every penny. I have long hair down to my waist. It only takes me about 3 minutes to dry it. That hair dryer, my wife loves it, and the cordless stick vacuums are freaking expensive as heck, but holy crap they are awesome. I think I spent around $1,000 on gifts over the last holiday season, including Secret Santa stuff on Imgur. Last year I got a really well paying job and I'm finally glad to be able to give back to people. I feel this. Right at the end after college I had a decent paying job for a 23-year-old. And as much as I liked having money to spend on myself after being a broke college student, I enjoyed more spending it on others. It spoiled my little sisters, bought a bunch of gifts for an adopt a family Christmas program, took my friends out for nice meals, etc. It was fun. Then the student loans came due. I spent $56,000 on college for a degree I don't use, but I met my husband there, so I really can't complain. If I divide that over the nearly 25 years we've been married and consider that he's the best of dudes, it is a pretty good deal. Same here for my masters. The subject was pretty broad and it hasn't really led me directly into a career, but I got to study in 3 countries, learn a language and meet a bunch of cool people. It's given me a new perspective on the possibilities in life that will never go away. I bet 2 50-year-old dudes $200 each that they won't kiss each other in a bar in a deeply red Midwestern town. And yes, they did it for 60 seconds. Little did you know, they'd both been secretly waiting almost 50 years to do that. I went to a Renaissance fair with my husband and some friends. It was his first time, and he's a pretty introverted person. So while he has fun watching everyone else dress up and act all goofy and old timmy, he doesn't really participate. When we went to buy our first beer, the wench tried to sell him on one of those big mugs that looks like it's carved out of wood but it's just plastic. It cost $100. Yes, you get free refills, but we were not planning on drinking $100 worth of beer that day. I could tell by the look on his face that he wanted it. He looked like a little kid at Disney World. Without thinking, I whipped out my credit card and dropped $100 on a crappy plastic mug. All day, he walked around proudly with his mug. He even took some big gulps and cheered huzzah once or twice. This might not seem like much, but for my quiet, gentle giant, it is huge. I manage the finances in our relationship and I am constantly cracking down on wasteful spending. So I think we were both amazed I made such a dumb purchase. 4 years later, we still have that mug. He gets a big grin every time he sees it and teases me about my irresponsible impulse. And every time I see it, I just think about how much I love that big galoot. He even took some big gulps and cheered huzzah once or twice. My heart. At a home inspector's recommendation, I had 2 sump pumps installed in our home's basement in case of water penetration. It was expensive not only to buy the sump pumps, but also to have the pump pits drilled and electric service supplied. Year after year, those pumps have never kicked in, but they're there, ready to go, just in case. You'll be praising your old self like never before the first time you hear them kick on. A business class ticket on a 14-hour flight. I ate great food and slept like a boss. Made a huge difference to my trip as I didn't need to waste a day to recover. We needed to reschedule the last flight we took, and the only way to sit together, 2 kids, 2 adults, was upgrade to economy plus. It was about $20 seat, and I told my wife we're never flying regular economy again. Even on a 2-3 hour flight, that extra leg room is so nice. $300 hand-sewn Starfleet jacket. Went to a con with a seamstress and had her inspect the jacket. Her verification that it was quality work was the deciding factor. Spent like 30 minutes on the phone with the bank trying to prove this was me throwing away $300 in one go at a con 3 hours from my address. This may not seem like a lot of money to some, but I weighted 287 pounds. I lost 100 pounds and my reward was a 300.00 pair of fry boots. I had been drooling over them for years and finally scrimped and saved to buy them. I told my husband it was my food money. LOL. It was actually my cigarette money. I had quit smoking a year before that but still faithfully put away 7.00 a day. I figured that I could always find cigarette money when I smoked, so I will keep finding it to save. I bought a Nintendo Wii that way too. I have never regretted using those boots. I love them. Let me add a note, I had help losing the weight. I had lap band surgery, which in of itself is another struggle. The weight came off pretty fast and now it's a bit of a struggle to keep it off. My greatest fear is gaining it back. I have a couple of sisters that had gastric bypass and gained their weight back, so that terrifies me. I am still about a size 14, which to me is healthy. I'm happy with that. This may not feel like much to some, but it was important for me. I got divorced in my late 20s and I bought an alimony subscription to help me date again. This was before free apps were a thing. It was way more money than I could afford at the time, but it helped me realize that I was wanted and people would be happy to get to know me and date me. It helped me move on from an emotionally abusive situation to repair my sense of self-worth. It helped me realize that I was wanted and people would be happy to get to know me and date me. Yet, you don't get that from the free apps. Visiting the NBA Finals while being an intern in the US. I'm from Germany originally. Tickets were $300 each. Had to drive back the 3 hours from Cleveland to Detroit at night to show up at work the next day, but dang. I'll never forget KD hitting the 3-pointer 45 seconds before the end. Friend spent $30 on a jukebox to play I Whip My Hair back and forth on loop for an hour in a bar. The bartender unplugged the machine. You can download the Touch Tunes app and pay to play songs at bars in a radius of your location. There's a club nearby that I sometimes put Let It Go from Frozen on at 1130 at night. Another song I throw in rotation is My Dingaling. I spent about $6 grand on MC DJ for my wedding. but he was the most professional MC I've ever met. He coordinated all the sound with the videographer, the caterers around the speeches, pre-planned all music and mixed songs to be the perfect length. I didn't worry about a thing on the day. If you've ever been to a wedding with a terrible MC, then you know the value in a good one. I walked out of a reception where the DJ kept playing hip hop rap about cheating. Nobody danced for the first 45 minutes. He just kept playing rap music and became abrasive and hostile when the parents' bridal party made other requests. Apparently it got worse after we left. My older sister is obsessed with the Witcher games, so I paid the main character's Geralt's voice actor to wish her a happy birthday. Doug Cockle seems like a really awesome guy. Glad you were able to make her birthday really special. My wife and I were on our honeymoon in London in 2016. We had just gotten an influx of cash from friends and family, and we went out to dinner at the Savoy Grill. They had an absurdly overpriced tasting menu with the option of overpriced wine pairings. We ended up dropping about $600, and it was honestly the best meal I've ever had. The service was off the charts, with little stories about each course and its accompanying wine, and they had the timing down perfectly. Just a fantastic experience from top to bottom. And if we didn't do it then, on our honeymoon with a bunch of free money, we were never going to do it. My first university degree, but it was really my parents' money that I wasted. I don't do anything related to it now. I went back to get the degree that I wanted and everyone told me would be a waste of my potential afterwards. I now work in that field and love it. Moving away from home was one of the best things that happened to me because it allowed me to grow a lot as a person. And also my road bike. $4 grand, but I love every second on it. I just paid our full $8k healthcare deductible to send my wife to rehab. We're getting divorced and my lawyer told me I didn't have to pay for it, but she wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise. $8k is a small price to pay for her hopeful sobriety and treatment of her mental health issues. This was really kind of you. I'd imagine there's something inside of her that will appreciate this gesture once she's past everything. It'll mean a lot. A new car. I bought a Toyota Camry in 2016. Everyone told me I was crazy. We were in an accident on Thanksgiving 2020 with a drunk driver. The car saved mine and my husband's life. I don't regret it at all. You bought the most practical and reliable car on the market. What a crazy guy. $500 on a home inspection. Revealed a whole bunch of problems that would have cost us thousands to fix. Always get an inspection. A home inspection is literally never a waste. $9k on a hot tub and its installation. I use it probably 2x a day and for those 30-40 minutes I am almost completely pain free, sometimes bordering on euphoria. I mean, using a hot tub twice daily sounds like a great return on investment. I was engaged to my high school sweetheart when I was in the military. She had about $5k in credit card debt that had been hanging over her, so I took care of it for her during my first tour in Iraq. I had no bills of obligations. Why not? Well, I spent another $4 or $5k coming home on leave mid-tour and furnished our apartment, her, before going back downrange. When my deployment tour ended, I came home and had to find out from my sister that some other dude, was seeing my fiance and one had been living in the apartment with her the better part of 6 months. When she found out I was back, she ghosted me, changed locks, etc. Her mother apologized to me in the neighborhood grocery store. I regretted it for a long time, mostly being angry, but I don't regret it anymore. It was a far less painful lesson than the ones I've seen men in their 40s come to terms with. At least I got my medicine in my 20s. That sucks, but I'm glad you found out before you all had kids. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.